Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Yoga in Chatham, New York. We are live with your host Raghunath and Kaustubha Das, senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City. Welcome to the show, welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam, and welcome to Funky Friday! I was just like, we need a Friday name. This just in, Kaustubha. All right, check this out.
Yeah.
More interesting Sanskrit words.
You got some
English words that are from Sanskrit. You're not going to believe this one. Mugger.
Mugger.
Mugger is not a New York word. A mugger comes from makara, which is, they call it a crocodile, but a makara is like, it's sort of like a mythological. We don't say myths in Vedic wisdom because we say we just don't understand them. But so you sometimes see Krishna has makara earrings that he wears. Mm-hmm. So a makara is eats fish, and he robs fish. He steals fish. He eats fish, so he mugs fish. That's where we got the name.
That sounds a bit of a stretch. I'm not sure if I'm buying into that one.
Philology, my friend. I've been studying philology with my friend Mara.
If Mara says it, then I accept it.
Yeah, this one is going to blow your mind.
Oh.
The word man comes
Manu.
from, you know that? You know
That doesn't blow my mind. Come on.
Okay.
He's called the father of mankind.
Did you hear this one? He's the father of mankind.
Yeah.
I think that's a fascinating one.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all. I was like, well, Kaustubha, here's this.
Sorry to steal your thunder on that one.
And I think shampoo comes from champak.
Champak.
Is champu the same as champak? Champu? Harshal Gore, how's your Hindi? He's lost.
Mohan's piping in here.
Mohan?
Makara is a Sanskrit word which means sea dragon or water monster.
Yeah, it's a water monster, but they call it people translate it to crocodile. But it is. It's a water monster, and I think they call it a makara matsya. It's like a fish mugger because he mugs fish.
It's a mugger crocodile, the most common crocodile in India.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have the word thug. Thug life comes from Sanskrit.
What's the word?
Thug. Thug is a direct word from Sanskrit.
This thug.
Yeah. They are a group of Kali words.
But is there a TH sound in Sanskrit? Thug. See, Raghunath, you see?
The train's coming. Start talking. This is a problem with doing the yoga, the class here. There's a train that passes.
No, you hardly even hear it.
You can't hear that? Can't hear that.
And
whistle.
give a little character. A little character to the show.
Okay, good. Well, good morning, everybody. And we just want to make some last announcements because this thing is filling up quick. Our Kali Columbia Wisdom of the Sages retreat, January 19th to 30th. If you're interested, go to raghunath.yoga and click on the Wisdom of the Sages tab. There, you will get to hang out with me, Kaustubha, and Mara for, like 12 days of tropical delights.
And Mallory. Mallory.
And Mallory's coming. All right.
Oh,
Well,
great, great.
here's the deal. It's like we do it. It's just a spiritual. You get to go on vacation in Bhakti Yoga. It's just a spiritual vacation, but you leave very high. You leave very, very high, and that's the trick of these things. These intensives. You go very high, very quick. Like sometimes on these Makeover Mondays, we say, I'm going to give up. I'm going to let go of this, or I'm going to add spiritual blah 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 to my life, and after a week of it, you feel high, but you're wrestling with other factors in the material world. We have nothing to do but go deep, deep, deep into this transcendental stuff. And so when you go back home, you're going to be like, I want to go back to Cali, Colombia. But what'll happen is, it happened to, I'm here with Mallory McGavin. It happened to her. She walked in this yoga studio. I didn't know her from Adam when I met her. And then next thing you know, she came to India. She was like, okay. And she was ripe for spiritual everything. Had an ecstatic time on pilgrimage. And then she's like, I want to stay longer. And I was like, no, don't do it. And she's like, no, I'm staying longer. I was like, please don't do it. India, you can get lost in India. I've carefully orchestrated this pilgrimage. Do not do it. You can't just go to these holy places and barge into spiritual vortexes. It's not going to do good. And then she's just like insisted. So Indrajumna Swami, one of our favorite swamis in the universe, happened to be nearby. And I said, and he was going to be in Vrindavan. I said, I have this incredible lady. She's got a really strong spiritual taste, but she wants to stay in Vrindavan. I don't know what to do. Will you be in Vrindavan? And he said, yeah, I have like 300 Russians with me. I'm leading around to holy places for the next month. And she got the gold ticket to hang out with Indrajumna Swami personally for 1 month, and he just like took care of her and spoon-fed her bhakti for one. Plan that better.
What a special opportunity! Like
I know, and you know what? After that month, and you spend a month in Vrindavan with 300 Russian brahmacharis, it's not going to be.
You're never the same.
You're going to get your buttons pushed and challenged in every way possible. But I will say, she's been definitely the trajectory of her life has been changed. She's a changed lady.
Well, you know something, Raghunath. That what you just said, it just kind of like it reminded me of. Well, there's a principle I think in what you just said that like someone may think, oh, I just want to go to India and experience the spirituality, but it's really
not going to get it.
It's about who you're led by there, right? Who's going to reveal it to you? And even in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, 500-year-old text on bhakti, when Jagannananda Pandit, who we can't even describe how spiritually deep this person was, when he wanted to go, he was living in Puri with Sri Chaitanya, and he wanted to go visit Vrindavan. He's like, I've never been there before. I want to go see it. And Sri Chaitanya was actually against the idea. And they said, okay, you can go, but you can only go for 3 days. And the whole time, you don't leave Sanatana Goswami's side. You stay right with him the whole time, because unless you have the right.
This is like serious stuff.
Yeah.
Well, we just had this explanation, and I'm going to explain it again if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
There are powerful places on the planet considered tirthas. Tirthas mean you can go there, and they can affect your consciousness in a deep way. And people go there for purifying their consciousness. All over India, there's tirthas. Now, out of all the tirthas, one tirtha is, we talked about this on Sweet Baby Krishna last night, one tirtha is called Prayag. That is the king, according to Lord Brahma, that is the king of all tirthas.
That's the Triveni?
That's the Triveni.
Where the three rivers meet?
PM Modi renamed it after the Mughals changed the name to Allahabad. Now it's Prayagraj. This is where the three rivers meet, the Yamuna, the Ganga, and the Saraswati.
Okay.
And this is where every 11 years they have the Kumbh Mela. Millions, not like 500, millions of people show up to take bath
like
for 1 month. You can't even imagine this. They take bath for 1 month at this place. It's considered so auspicious. So all the holy places came. See, every place has its personal deity, right? There's the personal deity of Haridwar, a personal deity of Prabhas, a personal deity, right? And then there's the personal deity, because there's personality. This is a Vedic thing. There's personality behind what appears like things. Okay. Like mountains are beings. The earth is a being. My body's just earth, and I'm a being. So all these holy places, rivers, etc., they all came to pay obeisances to Prayag. And Prayag was feeling, pretty good about himself. Like, I am a holy place, and all these other holy places are coming. They're all worshiping me. And then he started thinking,
I'm number one, something like that.
something like, yeah, I'm pretty good here. He started to notice that, where's Vrindavan? Where's Vrindavan? Vrindavan's not here. Everybody's here worshiping me. Where's Vrindavan? And he complained to Vishnu. And he said, Brahma made me the king of all holy places. Everybody's worshiping me here. And I don't see Vrindavan here anywhere. And then Vishnu said, that's because Vrindavan this is Lord Krishna's abode. You don't get that. You're the tirtha on earth.
You're number one on one level. You're high on a low level.
You're high on a low level. Vrindavan's high. Rest.
Right? Exactly. You're high on a low level.
So Vishnu said, this is my dham, where we get the English word domicile. This is my dham. This is my home. And it's somehow magically transported as to earth. I call it a spiritual vortex because I like that word. But it is. It appears like another village. It can even appear like a holy place because pilgrims go there. But it is not. And you can't know this information unless you have like an insider's, like when you buy a computer, you get the manual. If you buy it at a tag sale, you don't get the manual. You need an insider manual to how to go to India. You're not going to get this from a tour guide. You got to get this from people who study the manuals and pass the manuals around for millennia. They pass them down to their students. And so when you go into Vrindavan, you can't just treat it like, I'm backpacking around. I went to Vietnam on a motorcycle, and then I'm going to... You can't do that. It's different. It's a dham. It's Krishna's abode, and you have to act a certain way, think a certain way, behave a certain way, be of service in a certain way. I can't bring my bad habits that I've accumulated. I've been storing up, Kaustubha, bad habits in a lot of them for this entire lifetime. I've been working on them, practicing my bad habits. I'm really good. I can't bring my bad habits into sacred circles. It creates big problems in my spiritual life. So in these vortexes, these dhams, like Vrindavan, it's like going to Vegas. You're playing with big chips now. You bet $10,000, you get $1 million back.
Okay.
But you can also lose millions. So if you go to these places and do things wrong, you create devastation for your spiritual life.
I've seen it.
Yeah, Mallory McGavin, on the other hand, was in a great place to go there, and she was led by Indra Swami, and now she's so high, she's practically levitating in the studio right now, just hovering above the floor.
All right.
So yeah, you can't just go. You can go to India, just not going to get that same experience. Yeah. It's the sadhus that you meet.
That's right. Even it's not about bathing in the river; it's about the sadhus that you meet, right? Those special people.
Yep, and the river.
And the river there, but the verse says like that, right?
Yes, it's just
more important than the river, because people just go to the river. I'm going to bathe in the river, and then I'll become free of my bad karma, and then they just go out and they create the bad karma again.
Yeah, that's the point. The sadhu explains. It's the sadhus that explain. Don't just bathe in the river to get rid of your bad karma and then create more bad karma. I guess you just said that.
That's what I said. Just can't confirm it.
I'm just going to re-say what you say, but just talk more dynamic. But yes. So yes, sir.
Yes, that's
so
right.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, and then what's that other great verse? Yeah, we're going to Kali Columbia anyway. Okay. And that other verse, which is really good, is Lava Matru Sadhu Sangha Sarva Siddhi Hai. Right? Even a moment's association, what to speak of a month with Indra Swami, even a moment's association with a person that's fully connected, it will change your life. It will put you in a whole different direction in your life.
So true.
And this is, truthfully, we're hearing the Bhagavatam. That's association.
The fact is that, the Shastra says this, the sacred texts say this, and you see it again and again. When you meet someone really deep in their bhakti, you can know for certain that it's going to be tied to someone else that was really deep, that became their, in a sense, their mentor, their inspiration, right? You name a
Yeah.
deep person, I'll name the deep person they're connected to.
Yeah.
It's always about, connecting to someone that's very deep and getting some special grace from them and special inspiration from them. Feeling in your
It's
heart
amazing
the
that the
connection to
ego
them.
wants to take full credit for your own spirituality. Like, well,
Yeah.
I'm very spiritual. My family's not spiritual. I was always the black sheep. I've always been more spiritual. No,
I was
no,
always the black sheep.
it's the
I was special.
mercy. It's the mercy of other people that have assisted you on your spiritual path. And you say, no, I was born very spiritual. No, that is from a previous life.
Yeah.
That it's a previous life that you got the mercy from someone else. Stop taking credit for everything. This is a problem. It's a massive problem. The ego is so damn massive. I even want to take credit for my spirituality.
But you take Indrajumna Swami, right? Now Mallory, she's levitating today because she was connected to, she had this special opportunity, special grace that a very special person said, I'm gonna spend special attention on you, and really care for you. And then, and then Mallory, in her heart, she's feeling, oh, what, like this connection developed. But if you take Indrajumna Swami, who's this unique spiritual character, right?
Unique. He was the one. If you didn't hear that show, go back.
Few weeks.
YouTube search Indrajumna Swami, Indra Yamna. That's how you spell it. Indra Yamna Swami. YouTube search that. Wisdom of the Sages, and it's a great interview. And he's a great guy.
Yeah, just had to go back a couple weeks on our videos. And you'll find
Yeah.
It. So who is he connected to? Of course, he's connected to Srila Prabhupada, obviously, right?
Yeah.
But also, he was, from the very beginning of his path, it was Vishnu Jan Swami, right?
Oh, yeah.
That this, who was this really, you can read about him and all that, but he was this person that was just full of spiritual life. Anybody that met him, they just have all these wonderful things to say about it, his mood and his character and his, and then if you look at that person, Vishnu Jan Swami, you can see there are quite a few people that see him, to this day. He passed away in something like 75 or something like that.
Yeah.
74, 75. To this day, there are people that are like really exalted Vaishnavas, really exalted Bhakti-yogis that meditate on his mood daily, and their connection to him. Like Indrajumna Swami is like this great adventurer, Bhakti adventurer, who puts on festivals around the world and just
big,
overflowing,
cool, fun festivals.
Then you take someone like Dina Bandhu, right? Who's like, who's someone that we have to have on the show. It was my duty to reach out to him. I'll have to reach out to him. But he's this very unique storyteller who lives in Vrindavan and reveals all the holy places. He's one of a kind, and the depth of his bhakti is something really special. It was Vishnu Jan Swami that is very strong initial connection for him. And then Ainjar Prabhu, who was just like the Kirtan Acharya,
Kirtan master.
Kirtan master who influenced so many people. Where did his inspiration come? Also, Vishnu Jan Swami was a very huge influence on him,
So you're saying it's the people that the association of these great souls changes the direction of our life.
That when you get serious about bhakti, it leads one to searching out some very deep Vaishnava, some very deep bhakti yogi who becomes very special in your heart, and who you approach with a mood of like service and humility, like, you and I, we have our gurus, and we have, like, say, but for the two of us, like in common, we share like our connection with Raghunath Swami, right?
Yeah.
It's like, here's some very special.
It's like our own private little Jesus.
It's
like our own private little Jesus.
I don't know, I suppose in your own heart, he may feel like that.
I think of him like that, my own private little Jesus.
And so, like you and I, like in our private conversations, like Raghunath and I often say, like, where will we be without this person? It's like he's means so much to us, and throughout on a daily basis, in the decisions that we make or in our behavior, we're always in our mind consulting with him, is is this the way that he would want us to see this? Is this the way that he would see it? Or am I
Would
seeing
Radha Swami want me to eat this right now? It's usually something like that. Oh, no.
Would he eat it?
Would he eat it? He wouldn't eat it.
No, he wouldn't eat it. Put down the, we have those peanut butter chocolate things or something.
Would Radha Swami eat this this bagel?
All right, we're going off on tangents this morning.
You know what? These are good tangents because
I like it, yeah.
This is the essence of bhakti right here. You want the Bhagavatam? We gave it in a nutshell. Search out saintly people. We make advancement by us getting their association. Mm-hmm. And truthfully, it's by their extended kindness. And we're going to take this the next step. Here's the next step. If you've been touched by bhakti, then you've got to reach out to other people.
Oh, so it's
because you know what today is, Kaustubha? It's Franchise Friday.
Okay.
Franchise Friday means you got to go out and you got to tell at least 2 people about the show. And you can do that on Apple Podcasts. You just go to Apple Podcasts and you press that share button and send it to 2 people you think are like spiritual people that could use the show. And we're going to do this every Friday, Franchise Friday. If everybody can send it out
that's
to
the
2
best way to
Franchise Friday.
to label
it just came to my mind because we were talking about how we can encourage people to share it. And I was like, Friday, what rhymes with Friday? I did that on the spot. That wasn't bad. Franchise Friday. Call it French Fry Friday. But franchise sounds like expanding. So anyway, tell 2 people today.
All right, see if we get a bump.
See if we get a little bump. Here's the deal. When you find something good, share it. Don't bury it because you got it because someone was like, you know what? I want to do something for Franchise Friday myself. And someone shared it with you. And so this is a part of this thing. You share it, you give it.
Mm-hmm. You're a giver, Raghunath.
You learn it, you love it. You learn. What is it again?
Live it, learn it, love
learn
it.
it, live it, love it. Wait.
No, give it.
Live it.
Learn it, live it, give it.
Yeah.
Learn it, live it, give it.
Okay. Well, why don't we learn a little Bhagavatam right now?
Yes.
And
yes, my friend.
see if we can all give it to each other.
Mantras.
Some mantras? Thank you. It's fun having Mara right here in my ear. Like, say the mantras, fool. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta pareshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart will become almost completely eradicated in loving service to the transcendent Lord, whose praise with transcendent songs will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Midatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
You know what we're going to read about here today, Raghunath?
Franchises?
Nope.
What?
Demons flying in spaceships in other universes.
Oh, come on. Can we just... Here's the interesting thing. You always try to deflect this, but it's part of the teachings. It's part of the darn teachings.
That's right. So you call it, but you can't get lost in it. That's the point.
So, today is my day. Today I'm going to spread those wings. I'm going to fly.
Okay.
All right. This is great stuff. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. We're talking about lower planets. We had a good Sweet Baby Krishna yesterday. What do you think about this vortex? Dham versus tirtha. Interesting, isn't it? There's holy dhams, there's Krishna's abode, and then there's tirthas, which are like holy places on the earth. But then there are these dhams that are Krishna's abode, transported to the planet.
Well, so hold it.
And we on Sweet Baby Krishna, we read about the descent of the Ganga, the descent of the Yamuna, the descent of Govardhan. They were actually placed on the planet, imported from a spiritual plane.
Okay,
isn't that interesting?
Well, slow down. Are you saying that there's a difference between a dham and a tirtha?
Yeah, they're holy places that you can become purified. But when you walk into a dham, it's not like you go there for purification. You just happen to be in Krishna's abode, and therefore everything gets stirred up very quickly. Hence,
Would a Dham
Mallory
be a tirtha?
McGavin. What's
Is
that?
Is tirtha like a bigger category and Dham is a smaller category within the category of tirthas?
Well, I mean, tirtha is the actual abode of God, transported
No,
mystically
Dham
to the
is.
planet.
I thought Dham
I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Dham is, but a
But I'm
tirtha
saying,
are places
but
of
would a
pilgrimage
Dham
where
also
you
be
go.
considered a tirtha?
Would a Dham be considered?
Yeah, in other words, if you
Yeah,
had one
yeah,
circle that was tirtha, and
I
then
don't
would a
know. You're
smaller
thinking
circle.
Venn diagrams. I'm not.
Okay,
But
because is Vrindavan called Tirtharaj? Or no, maybe it's not.
no. Prayag is
Prayag is
Tirtharaj.
Tirtharaj.
So that is the thing, and also because within the Vedic paradigm of upgrading, I'm going to upgrade to be. I mean, all the levels. There's some people who get into yoga systems that just want to go to higher planets, that just want to have, for health, to just learn mysticism, to just learn siddhis. So a lot of tirthas can do all these things, just like bathing in the Ganga. The Ganga can give you boga, it can give you material enjoyment if you want it. It can give you the Ganga can grant you stuff. It can actually grant you materialism if you want it, and people go there asking. So not all places or tirthas give you pure bhakti, but when you're in the Dham and you're rendering service, it's like it's Krishna's abode. You can't help but be absorbed in it. You can't help but feel I'm not of this world anymore. It has that effect. It's over. Material life is over. That's what happens. Look at all these people. I was looking at the faces on Sweet Baby Krishna last night. I was thinking, these people are over. Their material life is over. It's 8 o'clock at night. They're sitting around a computer listening to like what seems like a child's story about Krishna. And they're just like listening like this. And this is how they're going to bed at night. And if you're at that place where you're listening to Sweet Baby Krishna at 8 o'clock at night, your material life is finished. I'm sorry. Forget it. It's not going to come back. You're going to pretend like you're in the material world out there, but in your heart of hearts, you're like, I don't belong here any longer. That it's over. I hate to break it.
You belong in the
to
tirtha.
You belong in the Dham. In the Dham. We're not even
you-
interested in tirthas anymore. That's why people get into
throwing
bhakti.
tirthas out the window.
Yeah, tirthas are gone. Well, that's why people get into bhakti. I mean, a lot of people who get into bhakti, if you ask them, well, where have you gone in India? They'll be like, Vrindavan. Where else? Just Vrindavan. It's like they fall in love and then they just can't leave.
And then they carry with them wherever they go.
Yeah. They're not into wanderlust. They're not into just like, I want to go all over India. I mean, some people do that. I like to do that. But some people are just like, no. That's because I'm a materialist. But they don't want to go wide. They want to go deep. Mara was on that. Deep.
But you know what verse this is reminding me of, Raghunath? All this tirtha talk. That sounds like a podcast right there. Tirtha talk with Raghunath and Mara.
Tirtha talk.
Bhagavad Vidha, Bhagavatas, Tirtha Bhuta Svayam Vibho. You know this one? Tirti, Korvanti, Tirtani, Svanta Stena Vidavritaha.
This is this the one? Blah blah blah. Great souls like you are places of pilgrimage.
That's it, right?
Okay, you say it.
Who spoke it? To whom?
Kunti.
We're in the right kind of more or less direction.
All right, you go.
Spoken by Yudhishthira to Vidura when he returned from his pilgrimage. Right? He said, my Lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places personified, because you carry the personality of God within your heart. You turn all places into places of pilgrimage.
That's a great verse, isn't it?
Beautiful verse, right?
Aren't we glad that we have people like Maharaj Yudhishthira in our life, Vidura in our life?
It makes it all worth living.
It all makes life worth living. What was I doing before?
But it's a
like
fact
Vidura.
because-
It's like they should be posters of Vidura for children to hang in their room. You know, Vidura.
Yudhishthira.
Instead of like basketball players, who cares? You can learn the technique, how to put good, interesting. Vidura.
But I feel like, and if we get Bhakti Louis in here, maybe we should get Bhakti Louis in here. We haven't heard from Bhakti Louis in a long time, but
Yeah.
when I see it's like Prabhupada made Tompkins Square Park a tirtha, right?
Yeah. So our Param Guru, our Guru's Guru, he went to this grimy park on the Lower East Side, sat under a tree, and started chanting. And because of that, so many people go to this tree as like a holy place now. Why? Because a great soul came and he started something spiritual right there.
And it seems like it just rubbed off on us without our even knowing it.
Yeah. And you want to hear another interesting weird thing? Yeah. Is when Prabhupada first came to America, he had no contacts, but you need a sponsor. So for some reason, through a professor, he got a sponsor in Butler, Pennsylvania. So Prabhupada's first stop was in Butler, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And Tom Essig, Tom from the show, from the Zoom crew, he was from Butler.
Good.
And yeah. And so like he visited the place, and Butler is like a holy place in a weird way, at least for us, maybe not for every Vedic yogi, but for us, we think, oh, Butler. Well, that's because wherever you bring that message, that becomes transformed. Just like if we're having transcendental messages in this yoga studio, I mean, what makes a yoga studio special? Is it that it's in a loft, or it's in a beautiful? No, it's got nothing to do with the room, even though there's nicer architecture and cheaper strip mall architecture. What makes it special are the words coming out of the yoga teacher's mouth. That's what transforms space. The sound. And if you grew up with parents that had high-level conversation, everybody's going, nope. If you grew up in a spiritual atmosphere with parents, right, like our Nitai Lieberman, God knows what's the sounds going on, transcendental sounds going on in that house to make those 5 and 8-year-olds dance the way they dance.
He's 9
transcendental sounds. Nitai goes to bed at 6 o'clock. So he can wake up and listen to the show at 5 a.m. His mother said, okay, you can listen to it, but you got to go to bed at 6 o'clock. He's like, I'll do it. No problem.
And sometimes little Gopi cries because he's like, why can't I get up?
Yeah, no, you need more sleep. So she comes up just for the dancing. But the idea is when you hear spiritual sounds, your real estate brokers out there, your real estate is transformed. And that's the value. The value of a church, the value of a synagogue, the value of a yoga studio.
Okay,
it's got nothing. Huh?
That's now you've gotten on. You're onto something here. I think you could write an article about this or something, Raghunath.
Okay. I can't write.
Someone could transcribe.
Yeah.
But the idea, in other words, so we all have a certain space that we're in, right? Like our home, and we all want a nicer home. Right. And
I want a nicer house. Yeah, Mara's trophy kitchen.
Trophy kitchen. And we all want to feel not only comfort in the home, but like ideally the home is like lifting our consciousness up, right? Like we might go out into the world and experience so much, but when we come back into the home, even if there was stuff that like there was resistance to our higher consciousness outside the home, when we're in the home, it should be facilitating our higher consciousness, and our happiness.
Right. You should feel like this is my ashram. This is my sacred space.
And as soon as I walk in, my thoughts are going in the right direction, and I'm feeling nourished and rejuvenated. But
yeah, so it's a big problem if you go home and you feel like I don't feel safe here. I don't feel it's not good for me here. That's a problem.
Or I just slide into lower consciousness. I just slide into bed and flip on the television or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
But it's so what you're saying, what I'm picking up from you is a real key here. Maybe this is the takeaway for today. Maybe it's a takeaway that if we want the home to be that experience, to be something that's going to elevate our consciousness, then the key is the sound that's going on in that home.
That's the key. Just like we became the sounds. Hear me out on this one. It's going to get... We became the sounds that we heard growing up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that? We became those sounds. The sounds
like
out of our fathers.
Right now, so I can figure out what's going on in your home.
The sounds out of our... You're like, what the hell was going on in your house, Raghu? The sounds that came out of our parents' mouth created us.
Yeah.
Sometimes they were uplifting, sometimes they were supportive, sometimes they were confidence building, and sometimes they were self-deprecating. Sometimes they were rude, sometimes they were cutting, sometimes they were sarcastic. And that made me what I am. Prabhu.
Yeah.
Can I before you know? We both said at the same time. That was such a jinx.
I said it first, but go ahead.
I was like it's a echo. This is all stuff. If some people are sitting there like Poppa Tony, Poppa Tony's there like, when are they going to start the Bhagavatam?
That's
This is the Bhagavatam, Poppa Tony. Mara sometimes says Poppa Tony's like, he doesn't like when it's 15 minutes in and you haven't started the Bhagavatam.
Way deep into it.
I know, but I just want Poppa Tony to know this. This is all the Bhagavatam. It's an eternal conversation. Okay. Now, I lost my train of thought.
You said you know.
You do your because I forgot mine now.
I think I have forgotten mine now too.
All right.
What were we talking about?
The sounds in our house create us.
Oh yeah, okay. I know what I was going to say. So you go to like Loy Bazaar in Vrindavan or some other, all over India, there's different things. They have these little boxes, right? These little sound boxes. You know what I'm talking about? You're nodding, but you're not saying anything. You're with me.
I muted because the big train is.
No, don't worry about the train. It's no problem.
All right.
So they have these little boxes that like play sound all day in your home. And, some friends of mine, Veer Diana, very close friends who used to, Veer was, until recently, he was the executive director of the Bhakti Center. And he had a beautiful apartment in the Bhakti Center. And they have one of those little boxes. And it was playing Srila Prabhupada's chanting 24/7. Like they kept it going all the time.
I was just somewhere and they had that box going. Where was I last weekend? If anyone doesn't know what we're talking about, it's like a plug-in. You plug it in, and it's just a recording that plays forever. And some people think this is crazy, but it's like sort of like the white noise in the background, but it's like transcendental white noise, which is sort of like Prabhupada. Our guru's guru just chanting japa, and that's what you hear in the background. If people go into that house and they're sort of like not part of the club, they're like, what the hell is going on? Why are they playing this rumbling sound?
And there's a kirtan one.
Yeah, there's a kirtan one. It's on loop forever.
Or if you go,
I play it. I like to play it for my animals. I'm serious. I don't have one of those boxes, but I'll just keep things on loops, so they hear. Okay.
And I had another. There was a married couple of friends of mine, and they also were doing that. This is a long time ago. And they said that when they did that, once they started, there's never any fighting in the home anymore. From that point on.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I will say, when me and my kids, like before dinner or something, I'll say, okay, let's have a kirtan. Or after dinner or something like that. When we have that kirtan, it changes the whole atmosphere of the house. We can sit around and just chant. It's very powerful to have kirtan in your house. And if other people in your house don't chant kirtan, don't do it, that's okay. You do it. And when we go on pilgrimage, and the first stop is oftentimes New Delhi, and we say, okay, we're going to get harmoniums, and everybody buys harmoniums, and then everybody's like practicing Om Namo, So everybody's singing and practicing on the entire trip. And truthfully, it's such a great experience to walk into your hotel and you just hear chanting going on in the background and people practicing. It's actually wonderful. And then you'll wake up in a holy place and you'll hear mantras going on. The thing about holy place in India, you got to wake up early because all the stuff happens around 4:30. That's when it gets exciting, But hearing those mantras, it's the sounds that create our consciousness. It's a really important statement. And I tell you this. I'll tell you this, Prabhu.
Okay.
This is what I was going to say when I said
Yeah.
I grew up. I grew up. I had older brothers. So if you have older brothers, there's something, bully you, push you, sarcastic. What's up, you little twerp? What I mean? That's part of being an older brother. And so I was like, sarcastic, treated. And so I became a little bit like that, sarcastic, rude, bully, like that. I'm a little bit like that. And the thing is, I'm like that with my kids sometimes, but they're not like that. My kids are like lambs. You know what I mean? I mean, my 6-year-old, he's slightly nuts. My 6-year-old's slightly nuts. My 6-year-old said,
that's right.
"Hey, My 6-year-old said yesterday, it's so funny. He goes, "Dad, will you take me to the library?" I was like, "Sure." You want to get out of you want to get out a book? And he goes, "No, I want to get a job." So anyway, but my other kids, they're like lambs, and I'm bringing my damaged dentedness into a sacred place. Why am I placing that on my kids? And what the sounds that I heard, they are not just within me. They didn't just create me. I'll take this one step farther. They are vibrations going out. So I got to be very careful what I put in, because I'm going to perpetuate. This is samsara. This is birth and death. We keep this snowball rolling until the whole thing explodes. So we are lucky. Everybody here is lucky because the snowball of birth and death has been stopped. It's being held up. There's an access point out to this wheel, this infinity cycle, and that's called the yoga system. And the yoga system means consume differently, consume different people. That sounds bad. Hear from different people, associate with different people, make different choices, put different things in your mouth, put different media in your senses, and then you're going to be able to get out of this loop that's perpetuated. Generation after generation, it's perpetuated. We are acting in ways that our ancestors acted. Is that crazy? Is that crazy? We're saying things. I mean, come on. Sometimes my kids like push my buttons, and I'll be like, yeah! I'll say something like that my father used. Like, where did that come from? I'll wring your neck. Who says that? I was like, that was directly imported. That was directly imported from like generations of old Italian men passed through my bloodline. Right? Because where did my father get it from? It was passed down to him. We are passing down things, both good and bad, from generations previously. And we have to either correct it or we pass it on. Thank you. Good night.
And
What do you think about that, Kaustubha? Get out of here!
and we do that with sound, like that's what and so you're saying about consumption, but especially the sound that we consume, it starts right there, right?
Yeah.
And if we're not focused, here's the message to the yogis, right? That if that's not clear in our head, then all the asana, even the pranayama or whatever other yogic, however we try to meditate, it's not going to work. Right. It's
not going to work.
It's like trying to light a fire on wood that's wet. You know, the wood's all saturated with moisture. It doesn't matter how many times you light the match, it's not going to go. Right.
That's why there's that statement by Krishnamacharya. The asanas are powerful, they transform. Pranayama, twice as important. It's for transformation, pranayama twice as important. Mantra, or the sounds that are reoccurring in the mind, it trumps all of them. It's exponentially bigger for transformation. It's hard to understand because when I do push-ups, I get strong. And I can't, but it's true. The sound that I'm hearing again and again in my mind create me, right? How many times have I said, you're such a loser. You're such a loser, Raghu. Why are you doing that, Raghu? You're such a loser. If you have like these self-deprecating thoughts, these are mantras inherited by you from somebody else. They've been given to you. If you have some self-loathing going on, you've inherited those mantras. People have passed them to you, and we've accepted them. That's the real damaging part. We've accepted them, and they've become part of our voice, or a part of our sounds in our mind. And we have to immediately notice them, write them down. Write down all these mantras that don't serve you, that are spinning around in your skull, and then catch them and replace them. That's why we say things like playing kirtan in your house while you're doing stuff. It's powerful. Why? Because these are new loops that are getting caught up in the mind, and they're scrubbing. They're the scrubbing bubbles, so to speak.
This is the real.
Do you know what scrubbing bubbles are?
The television, that commercial.
Yeah, scrubbing bubbles. Europeans are like, "What are you talking about?" There's a thing. There's a TV. It's a thing. Scrubbing bubbles.
So this is what you're talking about, Raghunath. This is the real PMA, right? The spiritual PMA.
It's spiritual PMA, man.
We got to maybe work on that, right?
Positive mental attitude. Yeah.
This is
The world's not positive, man. The world's not positive in the material sense. You need to add a spiritual dimension to have otherwise you're just like, yay, I'm going to be positive and we're all about to die. There's nothing positive about that. You have to have a spiritual facet to be positive, because we understand that Krishna, they say for sadhus, holy people, they say, live or die. Live or die. You ever heard that one?
Yeah.
You know that one. They say, butcher, don't live or die, because your life is like hell. Cutting up animals with a cleaver, that's like hell.
He shouldn't die, because when he dies, it's going to just, isn't that right? Oh, he shouldn't live or die.
Butcher shouldn't live or die.
Or die. Either, both are bad.
Butcher, don't live, don't die.
How's that one go again?
Because life is hell, and after birth, you're going to have to suffer for killing so much, right? Yeah. And they say something else like... no,
there's 4 of them, right? One person
someone else
should live and not die.
Live, but don't die. It's like sadhu, live, but don't die.
No. It's like the successful material should live but not die, because the future is not bright after in their next birth.
Yeah. The successful materialists live. It's fun.
And
but don't die, because you've been hoarding your entire life, and there's going to be some pullback because people are going to take from you. Right, that's it. Live, don't die.
And then someone, I don't know if it's like a tapasvi, someone doing austerities or something like that. They should die and not live, because
that's it.
They're going to reap the benefit of.
Because the tapasvis, they're cutting off all the pleasure in this world to get some internal pleasure. Tapasvi, isn't that a great word?
So
that's a last name in India. Tapasvi. I know someone named Tapasvi.
Well, I got a brother-in-law named Tapasvi.
Oh, that's right. Kaustubha has a brother-in-law that's a Swami. Isn't that cool?
This is your favorite subject.
It's so cool. I want a Swami relative.
Really cool.
So tapasvi means you cut off all the pleasures of this world, but in the next life things are gonna be better. They're good. But they say Bhakti-yogis live or die.
So you're gonna mess it up. So
I started it.
Yeah, I know, but you're gonna mess it up right now.
No.
You weren't able to finish it. So you had the materialist. He should live and not die, right? Because it's good right now, but it's not going to be in the future. Then you have the tapasvi. You should die and not live, because life is rough right now, but you're going to reap the benefits of it in the future. Yeah. Then you have the butcher. Yeah. Don't live, don't die.
Live, don't die. Don't live, don't die.
Life is miserable now, and it's going to be miserable in the future too.
Yeah.
Next time. But for the bhakti,
live or die.
Live or die.
Live or die. You know why? Because living, we get to serve, we get to love, we get to sing, we get to dance. It's joyful, right? Or die. And you know what's going to happen when you die? You're going to sing, you're going to laugh, you're going to die. It's joyful.
Yeah.
Even on their deathbed, people are like joyful. This is bhakti. Live or die.
Live or die. I like it.
What an access point out. What an access point out of the material world. That's the trick.
All right. Well, I tell you what.
Secrets of the universe revealed.
We never got to the demons flying around in their spaceships.
Good. We get to do it tomorrow.
In alternate universes.
Tomorrow's questions and answers.
Tomorrow's questions and answers day.
Tomorrow's questions and answers.
We get to do it Monday.
But why not?
And I'm going to read up on it, because I've got my new book, Alien Identities.
Did you get a copy of that? Really?
I did.
I should get a copy.
As soon as I opened it, I was like, I don't want to read this. Mara, can you read it for me and just tell me the highlights, make bullet point cards for me?
Okay, but why don't we do this? I quoted that verse, Tirtha Kurvanti Tirtani.
Yeah, read that.
Why don't we read the commentary on that, just so we get a little Prabhupada in here today, okay? So it's just not us blabbering on.
Okay, so Poppa Tony doesn't.
Yeah, so this is for Poppa Tony. So this is
my daughter. My daughter sent me a message on the message board. It says, "Shh,
you see?
Stop yelling."
Mom said stop.
Oh, Mom says stop yelling. They're listening. They're listening at home.
Okay, so let's read this verse. This is after Vidura had wandered away while the whole battle of Kurukshetra was going on, the Mahabharata and all of that. He was kicked out of there by the evil Duryodhana.
Evil.
And then he returns after all the destruction. And for Yudhishthira to see Vidura again, that man that he loved and admired so much, his elder, his mentor, He returns from pilgrimage, right?
I mean, let's just put this in perspective. Visualize you have an uncle. Like we're kids are happy when their uncles come over, their aunts come over. But imagine, I had some crazy uncles. I had some very crazy uncles.
Okay.
We all might have had some crazy uncles. But imagine if your uncle is like a saint who is like the inspiration of your household, of your family, that you always look towards, your coolest uncle
Provided
ever.
you with incredible advice under very difficult circumstances.
He was always tolerant, he was kind, he was loving, he was not, So he's gone. He disappeared. He went on pilgrimage, which people did, and and when people go on pilgrimage in those days, you might never see them again. That might be it. They might die. Anything could happen. They just never come back. That was just it. It wasn't like, I'm going on pilgrimage. I'll be back in a couple weeks, right in time for work on Tuesday.
Right.
Pilgrimage wasn't like that. It was sort of like open-ended pilgrimage. I'm going on pilgrimage, may not come back.
Hope I see him again.
Yeah, like Mallory McGavin almost pulled one of those on her family. I'm not coming. So anyway, imagine if that's your uncle. Now he just shows up one day. There's no announcement, no text message from the driveway. Hey, I'm on Route 45. I should be there in 45 minutes. It just shows up back in the kingdom. Okay, take over, Kaustubha.
Okay, so now he shows up, and then Yudhishthira sees him, and then he says this. He says, "My lord, devotees like your good self are verily holy places of pilgrim, holy places personified.
You are the holy place.
You, right?
You.
Just like the transformation I'd hope to get in the holy place, I get it just by being around you. Like, because all that sound's coming out, right? That presence, and especially because it says, because you carry the personality of God within your heart, you turn all places into places of pilgrimage." Raghunath is like this. I'm going to give you some props, Raghunath. I'm going to give you some props because you have a love for the holy places, and then you just kind of share. You go to the different yoga studios, whatever. You break out that harmonium, you get into your bhajan, and you feel the presence of the holy place, right?
By the mercy of the great souls.
Yeah.
That's how we get this stuff. People, you got bhakti, people give you bhakti, then you got to give bhakti away, then they have bhakti and just pass it all around. It's like hot potato.
That's right. So it says you turn all places into places of pilgrimage. Here's the purport. Here's Prabhupada. We're going to hear him now. The personality of God, it is omnipresent by its diverse potencies everywhere, just as the power of electricity is distributed everywhere within space. Nice. This is such a great analogy, right? Yeah. In other words, electricity is everywhere in the air, but some people know how to like
channel
it, manifest it. Yeah. Similarly, God is everywhere, but certain people make you aware that God, they like
have
that
access to
lightning
source
rod or whatever. Yeah,
sorcerers we call them.
Okay, we don't have to, but you could. Suppose you could. Similarly, the Lord's omnipresence is perceived and manifested by his unalloyed devotees like Vidura, just as electricity is manifested in an electric bulb. A pure devotee like Vidura always feels the presence of the Lord everywhere. He sees everything in the potency of the Lord and the Lord in everything. The holy places all over the earth are meant for purifying the polluted consciousness of the human being by an atmosphere surcharged with the presence of the Lord's unalloyed devotees. If anyone visits a holy place, they must search out the pure devotees residing in such holy places. Take lessons from them. Try to learn it, then try to apply such instructions in practical life, live it, and thus gradually prepare oneself for the ultimate salvation, going back to Godhead. To go to some holy place of pilgrimage does not mean only to take a bath in the Ganges or Yamuna, or to visit the temples situated in those places.
Or to eat aloo tikki on the side of the streets.
Yeah, to gorge on aloo tikki. One must also find representatives of Vidura who have no desire in life save and except to serve the personality of Godhead.
Boom! That's so good. That's so good, Kaustubha. And
there's a little bit more.
Oh, hold it. Hold it. Okay. A little anticlimactic there.
The personality of Godhead is always with such pure devotees because of their unalloyed service, which is without any tinge of fruit, karma, fruit of action, or utopian speculation, Jnana. They are there's still more.
No, okay.
They are in the actual service of the Lord, specifically by the process of hearing and chanting. It's all about that sound, right?
Sound.
The pure devotees hear from the authorities and chant, sing, and write out the glories of the Lord. Mahamuni Vyasadeva, Srila Vyasadeva, heard from Narada, and then he chanted in writing. Shukadev Goswami studied from his father, and he described it to Parikshit. That is the way of Srimad Bhagavatam. So by their actions, the pure devotees of the Lord can render any place into a place of pilgrimage, and the holy places are worth the name only on their account. Such pure devotees are able to rectify the polluted atmosphere of any place. And what to speak of a holy place rendered unholy by the questionable actions of interested persons who try to adopt a professional life at the cost of the reputation of the holy place. Oh, that's a whole nother subject.
Boom! Whoa!
Hey,
That was a great show, and we did get to the Bhagavatam after all.
We did.
The whole thing is the Bhagavatam Poppa Tony. Come on! Mara threw you under the bus. I know.
Sorry,
It's good.
Dad.
Thanks everybody for joining us. We need you today on Franchise Friday to contact 2 people that you know that you think you'd be sort of interested in spiritual life, and you're going to forward them maybe this podcast. I thought this was a good sort of introduction. Forward them this one of your favorite podcasts. You should all mark down, regulars. You should all mark down, oh, this was a good one, make a check, and send it to somebody. And by sending it to someone, you're doing that third process of giving it away. You hear it. You learn it. You live it. Then you apply it. Doesn't work if you don't apply it, right? It's like a gym membership. You can't just get the membership. You got to go to the gym and do it. You got to apply it, and then you got to give it, right? It's called living by example. That's what makes this stuff.
Maybe we should do it on Tuesdays. You can call it Giving Tuesday.
Giving Tuesday? That doesn't rhyme.
There is one. There's a Giving Tuesday every year. Okay, forget it. Just back
What's
to
Giving
Franchise
Tuesday?
Friday.
It's like after Black Friday.
Oh, Giving Tuesday. I like franchise. Let's see if Franchise Friday sticks.
Okay.
Hey, what's going on in the Patreon party today?
Bhakti, no. I don't think there's anything today. But
Yep.
tomorrow we're doing dented can yoga repair with Luke Carmen.
That's a
At
big
noon
one.
Tomorrow.
Dented yoga,
Dented can.
dented can yoga repair
Yep.
with Luke Carmen. We love Luke. He's our Zoom. He's our Zoom man. He's here with baby Luke all the time.
Hey, we got to mention again who's up on Sunday.
And this Sunday is Satyanandana Swami. We're excited. Don't miss out on our Sundays, everybody. This is a great guest. And sometimes we bring these guests on. They really just sort of like, they change our life. They change our life. They're quite inspirational. So Sunday, 8 o'clock, questions and answers. You get your questions into Mara. wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com.
All right.
Now, let's get serious.
You know how I know you're my true friend, Raghunath?
How?
Because today, and this is the key, and this is also a Seinfeld kind of wisdom. Because I said, I may be moving apartments soon. And I said, Raghunath, I need you to come over with your truck. And you're like, I'll do it. Yeah. You were like right into it, right?
You know what?
Yes.
Prabhu? You
Yeah.
did the same thing for me. When me and Bridget moved to New York City
That's
with
right.
the kids, I said, Kaustubha, there's a gigantic wall in my apartment I need demoed. Will you come over and...
was the person you asked.
No, I think he volunteered. No, I think I was
happy
just
to do
sharing
it.
it with him.
We're
He was like,
friends.
yeah.
That's the point.
He came over with a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm ready to destroy things for you, my friend. That's friendship.
That is friendship.
Wrecking stuff is a sign of deep friendship.
I said, hold it. Is that what you plan to do when we move my stuff? You're like, it's friendship.
Raghu, you unloaded my apartment. You wrecked everything. You know, I'm not really good at maintaining or creating, but destruction, I got that Shiva Shakti.